Hey everybody, and welcome to another live episode of The Grid. My name is Scott Kelby, and I am joined by the extremely fabulous, and what did I say, exquisite?
I think you said immaculate earlier.
Immaculate.
I'll never get over that.
Exquisite and immaculate, meaning very, very clean. Karen Hutton. Karen, welcome to the show.
Why, thank you, Scott. It's so good to be here.
This is not your first time on The Grid, is it?
This is not my first rodeo, honey, no.
This is not. She is a grid veteran, as
Grid
it
vet.
were.
Grid vet. We call it a grid vet.
A grid vet, we do. And we have a wonderful topic for you today, and it's based on a comment on my blog. Today's topic is, why did you choose the camera you chose?
Right. It's a big question.
And what is that? You chose what is that?
FujiFilm. This is an X-T2.
Why did you choose that camera? Stick around. Stick around to find out why. And just want to give a couple of shout outs here real quickly. Hi to Chris from Amsterdam. We have Josh is here watching from Alaska. Good morning, Friday. It's near 6 a.m. in Melbourne. Melbourne. Hey, why are you up at 6 a.m., Wayne Young? Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. Fran Hughes says, hey, Scott and Karen, good to see you. And Peter from London, and not Peter Treadway, the other Peter that spells it weird, is with us. Good to have you here, Peter. And Mark from Paducah, Kentucky, our first viewer ever that would admit it publicly from Paducah. Good to have you here, Mark. Hey, so all kinds of stuff. Karen, you were here today doing an awesome class.
It was really fun and awesome, and thank you, because that was fun.
Tell us the topic of the class.
The topic was finding your artistic voice.
Right. So we did it in front of a live audience.
Yeah, that was back to my roots.
It was great.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing: as people, I asked Meredith, who was our director, I asked her, so how did people like it as they were? And she's like, people were just like, this was amazing. I can't believe you let me see this. Thank you so much for having us here. She was just inundated with everybody just being blown away.
Thank you. It was fun. It was really fun. You know, when the moment happens, you don't really know if it's good or bad or what it is. It just is. And so you roll with it.
She rolled. She totally rolled.
It was really fun. And what a great audience. It was like you handpicked.
Well, they were all Kelby One members, so they were kind of handpicked.
Well,
yeah. So what we do when we do these, like sometimes we do these things with live audiences, we invite Kelby One members within, like a 50-mile radius if they want to come by the studios and check it out. Mm-hmm. So hey, Lori Rubin says, Karen, happy birthday.
Lori Rubin.
It is your birthday
It is
today.
my birthday. Thank you, Lori.
Right before we went on the air, we had cake and ice cream for you.
I know, so I'm going to be like a hyperactive kid. Woo!
Like you could tell the difference between that and how she was before.
Thanks a lot for that, Scott.
All right, so Apple came out with a new iPhone update today.
So exciting.
I'm not so excited.
Really?
I don't know
anything about it. I just heard about it, so I just, in theory, get
I'll tell you why I'm disappointed, because we all kind of knew it had been leaked to death. Like, Apple can't keep a secret anymore. Remember how good they used to be keeping secrets? Like, nobody knew. I remember one day sitting. I used to go to Macworld in San Francisco and being in an Apple keynote, and everything that Steve Jobs said, we were like, no, I had no idea that was coming. Now it's like, we know every spec.
Do you suppose they do that on purpose? Do you suppose there's leakage, purposeful leakage?
No. I think that
Really?
they would love it to be a secret and blow everybody away. Because what happens is it sucks all the air out of the announcement.
Right.
Like they go, and we're doing this, and the crowd goes, oh yeah, as expected.
Yeah.
And then we're adding this. Okay, that's not bad. But anyway, they have two. We knew they were going to have two lenses on the camera. Like that was pretty much out.
And they do?
I was thinking that the second one was going to be like an optical zoom. It's not.
Really?
No.
What does it do?
I don't know. No, supposedly using two lenses lets you. It's a 1.8 lens now.
Oh.
So it's supposedly 50% better low light capability.
Huh.
And it's super wide angle. So even at 1.8, because people would think, well, 1.8 everything's gonna be out of focus if your focus isn't dead on, but it won't be.
Not when it's really super wide. I'm trying to get why it's that exciting after all.
Yeah, I mean, it's better, and that's kind of what we're going to be talking about here today, also as well. So, I do want to mention a couple things, and I got some giveaways. Ready? This is pretty exciting. It just came out, hot off the press, my Lightroom mobile book. We are giving away 3 copies today to someone watching the show of my Lightroom mobile book. So it's right here. Just came off press. It's still like the ink is still kind of wet.
I can smell it from here.
There it is. Ooh, I can go look at the other camera. Hi. This is my new book right here, the Lightroom mobile book. It's got everything you ever want to know about Lightroom mobile and stuff that you think, I don't think Lightroom mobile can do it. I show you how. We hack it. Okay, we don't really hack it, but it's got a lot of advanced and cool stuff in there. Giving away 3 of these today because we have a box of them, even though they don't hit bookstores till Monday. We have a box of them. We would love to send. Don't care where you are in the world. We love international folks. We'll send it anywhere. So that's coming up. I'm also giving away, what's this? It is a gift card, a $50 gift card to Lens Pro to go. Like the way I just moved to that camera, watch. To Lens Pro to go. So they are, if you want to rent some gear for the weekend or something, we're giving away a $50 gift card to them. Awesome folks. Love their stuff. Okay. Oh, there's lots of happy birthdays coming in now. Everybody's happy birthdaying you.
Look at that. New Zealand, Rose.
Oh, yeah, Rose. Rose is like one of our very faithful watchers. Hi, Rose. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us.
I can barely read it from like all squinting and stuff.
Yeah. Hey, maybe you can make the type bigger because we're old. Like, what?
Speak for yourself.
What? What is that? What did they say? Yeah. Oh, hey, we have our first question, Karen, so I'm going to go ahead and, since we held up your Fuji there. Question for Karen from Stephen. Stephen asks, do you find that getting accessories for your camera is so much harder than it is for a Canon or a Nikon? And how do you get around it? For example, speed lights or eye cups or things that only seem to be available for the big two.
Well, I'm probably not the best person to ask because those particular speed lights I don't really use in my work, really. I have to carry my stuff a lot of places, so the fewer accessories, the better for me. Eye cups, I'm not having a problem without my eye. This has an eye. Isn't that an eye cup?
Yeah, but sometimes they make specialty eye cups if you wear glasses and stuff.
I don't use one of those. I'm sorry. Maybe that's why it's a part of why it's such a good fit for me because I don't really need those things. So I don't know what to tell you about that. That was a bad answer, but it's my only one.
No, there are no bad answers, only bad questions.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding, Stephen. No,
you didn't mean that. No,
Stephen watches the show quite a bit. He's a good guy. No. We're not totally kidding. So I want to talk about today's topic because we're going to kind of launch right into it. And I'm going to read you a comment that was on my blog. So I wrote this thing called my top 5 of everything. So this guy, let me give you his name first. I'll give you the guy's name because he put out a tweet and his name's Paul Bowers. That's right. So Paul wrote, I just reread Scott's top 5 list for everything from 2008. Would be interesting to see a 2016 update and compare the new stuff to the old stuff. Well, I thought, hey, that's not a bad idea. It's been 8 years. I would go and redo it. So I basically copy and pasted it and filled in my new answers. Took me 4.5 hours almost to write this stinking blog post. Whoa. So there was a lot of things in here, and I had to have links to stuff, right? So if I mentioned like somebody's book, like this is a book that inspires me, I wanted to find the link so people could find it. Because if not, they'll just email me and say,
those are tough ones to write.
It's a long one. Anyway, so this guy responded to one of my comments because I wrote in here, so 8 years ago, I was still shooting Nikon. So 4 football seasons ago, I switched to Canon. So this is my 4th season shooting football on Canon. And so all my pics were Nikon back then. All of my pics. Everything was Nikon this, because that's what I use.
Right.
And you can only talk about the stuff that you use. I can't speak to stuff that I've never tried or, so. Right, so anyway, well, now I wrote my 5 favorite Canon cameras that I'm very impressed with. And I wrote about the Canon 5D Mark IV.
Okay.
Right. It hasn't been released yet, but Canon was nice enough to loan me one to go to Iceland. Right. Which that's a two-edged sword, by the way. I can't open the raw photos in Lightroom.
Really?
Because they haven't updated Lightroom yet to support a camera that hasn't even been released.
Yeah.
So there you go. So.
Yeah.
So I was able to just process JPEGs.
I didn't have that problem with mine.
All right. And so, but anyway, so I got to shoot a 5D Mark IV for the last maybe 2 weeks. Which is great. I mean, I don't usually get if I get a pre-release camera, it's like to shoot for 1 day or 2 days. Right. Like when the 1DX Mark II came out, I was allowed to shoot a college game, an NFL game, so Saturday, Sunday, and then it had to be shipped back immediately.
It's not long enough to really get to know the camera.
No, it's not. I mean,
you get to know it, but
you
not
shoot
doesn't become a
two
part
football
of it.
games. You're shooting like 8. This thing came apart of me on the Iceland trip. So I did a bridal shoot, but in Iceland I fell in love with it. I really did, and it's just a tremendously better camera on so many levels. But I want to read you this guy's comment. Hey, before I do, can I just plug something real quick?
Please do.
Tomorrow I'm doing a private members-only webcast about my trip to Iceland. I'm going to be talking about camera technique. I'm going to be showing the images. I'm going to be talking about post-processing. I have a lot of things to share, a lot of images to share, and a lot of stories to share. That's tomorrow at 2 p.m. for Kelby One members. So if you're a Kelby One member, keep an eye on your email. We're sending out the invitations tonight.
Is that Eastern time?
Eastern time, absolutely. And so that's at 2 o'clock tomorrow. It's at kelby1.com/webcast. So I hope all of you Kelby One members. Look, John Vastra says, I subscribed to Kelby One yesterday. Love it. Great. John, come join us for your first webcast. And of course, if you can't watch it live, we put all of that. We archive it. So if you can't watch it live, you can archive it. But it's more fun if you watch it live because I answer questions. Okay, so I wrote this thing, the top 5 of everything. This guy wrote this comment, and then this is how we got into this. Oops, sorry, that's the wrong one. That's about seafood. Okay, because I wrote, all right. So the guy said, is the Mark IV really that great? The way I see it is Canon has evolved it a bit instead of making a revolution. I have a Mark III, and I love it. I know that the Mark IV seems better, though, taking the greatness of the Mark III and expanding it slightly. He goes, anyway, I enjoyed reading your picks and all this stuff, materials that I came across. Great stuff. So nice guy. He's being nice. But the point he's making is that the Mark IV is really just a minor, slight upgrade. Mm-hmm. And so here's what I wrote back. I wrote back to him. I said, hey, look, they didn't just expand the Mark IV, expand it slightly. It's better in just about every way. It's got a better sensor, better low light performance, more megapixels, more frames per second, lots of other new features, a fantastic touchscreen, built-in GPS, built-in wireless, better video capabilities. It's just better all the way around. And then I asked him this question, and this is what kind of leads up to all this. I'm curious, though, what was it that you were expecting?
Right.
Right? It's like, what did you want it to have that it doesn't have? And I said, now be specific. I really want to know. I'm not being a smart aleck or anything like that. But now I'm going to take the video stuff aside because I don't shoot video with my camera really at all. So I never speak to the video capabilities of anything. I'm a still photographer. And I know that there's people that really what they want Canon to do is to take one of their big cinema EOS cameras and then stick it inside a $3,600 camera. That ain't never going to happen. No company would be that dumb, right? No one's going to go, look, we have this $10,000 amazing cinema camera. We're going to take its features and just stick it in there. They're just not going to do that. No. So I'm going to slide that aside. So I asked this guy, I said, hey, tell me what it is, and this was yesterday. I'm curious, what was it that you were expecting? What do you want it to have that it doesn't have? Be specific. I really want to know. Of course, he never answered back.
Dang it.
And I find that when I ask people this stuff, if they're not talking about video, that they kind of hit a wall. And so these are the things that I really want to know. It's like, okay, so what is it? What is this thing that you wanted added to it? Because, I look at all the things they added to it. To me, it is a tremendously better version of my favorite camera. So my everyday camera that I use for everything from travel to portraits to it's the 5D Mark III. Right. Now it's going to be the 5D Mark IV because that's what I'm going to. I
hear amazing things about it.
It's phenomenal.
Right.
But you're taking one of the best cameras ever made and one of the cameras that's most used by professionals. Right. If you go to shoot a wedding, it's almost a lock that the wedding photographer is shooting a Canon 5D Mark III. It's almost a lock. It's their workhorse camera. You see people using it on the sidelines for NFL. Even though it's faster, I think it's still a little slow. It's 7 frames a second for an NFL game.
Yeah.
But I see people with them as their second camera. Not as their first camera, but as their second camera all the time on the sidelines. So anyway, this is kind of what I thought was kind of interesting is like, I really want to know. So I saw Karen with the Fuji today. And so this started me thinking, it's like, well, how do we wind up with the camera that we wind up with? How do we, what is it? Oh, Princess Lava Princess just asked, any thoughts on Sony A-mount cameras? I do, and I'll talk about those in a minute. Oh, look, there's the real Larry Becker. I love the Mark IV. Can't wait to see all the Iceland pics. And that will be tomorrow, Larry. So tomorrow, come and watch. And look at this. So, hey, some of the questions that I wanted somebody to ask me are coming in. I love this. R. Dukeshire asks, what about the memory cards for the new Mark IV? Are you happy with that end of it? It's a compact flash, which is what I have a ton of, and an SD card. Was I needing another? Do I need a different card? What format is yours?
This is SD.
SD. So I have an SD and a compact flash. Now, 90% of the cards I own are compact flash. I have a few SD cards. So if they put a different card reader in there, I would have to go buy new cards.
Right. That would
I would need a new reader, and I would need new cards for what? It's not an action camera. It's not a sports camera. Now, they on the Canon 1DX Mark II, they did add a new, I think it's called the Q-Fast. It's like some really fast, or I don't know what it's called. What's it called, Kathy? C-Fast? Oh, that's pretty good. How'd you know that? Wow. Jen's like, C-Fast. I'm like,
Well, I know. She just like pipes up from the
wow.
side. Yeah, it's C-Fast.
I'm impressed.
Snap.
So anyway, to answer that question, it could have the CFast card, but it wouldn't help me at all. I'm shooting 7 frames a second. I don't need a faster card. And I'm a Lexar Elite, so they send me really nice cards,
Right?
Like the 1000 speed and all. I never get to use them. I can sit there with my 1DX, my old 1DX, and I can shoot JPEGs as long as it will go on a compact flash. It will never fill the buffer. I can sit there and go 12 frames a second. I could do it for a half an hour. It would never, ever fill the buffer. What's a new card going to do for me?
Right.
But Karen, I want to talk to you.
Sure.
Tell me about why you chose this Fuji.
Well,
Because you were a Canon photographer before.
I was a Canon photographer, and the gear just got what finally tipped me over the edge was literally tipping over and falling down from the heaviness of my gear.
Really?
More than once, which I can't really decide if that makes me just uncoordinated or really in need of new gear. But I was getting ready to make a trip to France, and I knew I couldn't carry this stuff where I was going for the amount of time I would be walking. So I said, well, now it's time for mirrorless. And so then I went about testing, within the specs of what I knew I wanted, which is only like 2 or 3 different cameras. I tried them all, and I ended up with FujiFilm.
Can I hold it?
You may. I was hoping you'd ask.
This is pretty heavy.
This is a big lens. Now, okay, so people
What
say...
is this? A 16 to 55.
That's a 16 to 55. That one is a 2.8. It's weather sealed. It's heavier. It's my landscape lens. They make an 18 to 55 that's lighter.
You know what
plus,
this is the size of?
What's that the size
The
of?
weight of?
Huh.
A DSLR.
It's not. I actually held...
Is it a few ounces less?
It's less.
It can't be a
is.
pound less.
I don't know. See, now, this is the thing. A lot of people say, oh, well, it's not that much lighter. And I'm like, it is lighter. It's enough lighter that I no longer fall.
This is important.
Yeah.
We do not want Karen falling.
No, again. No more of that. So, that test, that lens, if I were going to, give you the light camera test, I'd put a different lens on it because that's not the lightest lens in the world.
All right, so can I say something? It's not about the Fuji.
That's fine.
But it's about the Sony.
Okay.
So I go in forums and I read people who are Sony fans. And nothing against Sony fans, by the way. And they're Sony fans, and they have the AR7 II or the AR7.
Mm-hmm.
And they all write the same thing. They're saying the same thing that you're saying. Mm-hmm. I wanted to switch to a lighter camera. Mm-hmm. Can I tell you what? I spent a weekend with a Sony AR7 and an AR7 II. Mm-hmm. If you just have the body in your hands, it's very light. Mm-hmm. As soon as you slap a 24 to 70 or a 7200 on it,
right.
It is. I'm not sure that it's not every bit as heavy a DSLR or heavier. I remember taking the Sony and handing it to people and go, "What do you think of this?" And they'd go, "It's heavy."
Right.
It looks like it would be light, and that's why I'm reading all these people saying I switched to a lighter camera. I can tell you, this is not particularly light. I think if I had a what do you got there?
Yeah, so that's an XT10. So this is
okay. Hold on, we're gonna borrow Kathy
is
Porepski's. Let me see what this is.
This is what I was talking about. This is the difference. Like,
that's light.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
Wow.
This is not the.
This is light.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
What do you have on here? A 16 to 50? Is this a good lens, Kathy?
Karen would know.
That's an older lens.
It's an older lens.
So this would be the current version of this would be an 18 to 55.
Okay, this is like half the weight of a Sony. Because the Sony is every bit as heavy as that. Or when you put a 24 to 70 on it or 70, it's heavier. So every time I see someone talking about how lightweight the Sony is, I'm like, I don't know how they fooled you into that, because that is absolutely not. This, however, this is very light. This has got to be, here, hold this.
Yeah, I know. I have
That's
this.
like, you have that?
Yeah.
Well, that stinks.
Whatever.
Anyway,
I mean,
that's light.
It's totally light. So if that's what I was trying to say, so if I want to go, if that's the only criteria that I'm using, and the only thing is light, I take this camera and a lens like this. But this is not weather sealed. So you see, every time you add, like this is a 2.8,
Right.
and weather sealed.
Right.
And, I'll take it out and do landscape. It's going to sit on a tripod or, be in my hands for not super long. Granted, I will travel with it, but honestly, I'll take the 18 to 55 when I want to get lighter because it's more like this.
This is extremely light. Thank you,
Yeah.
Kathy, for
Yeah.
being our
Thank
studio
you.
audience today. Has provided us with props.
The crowd
Props
goes
provided by
wild.
Kathy Porevsky. All right, thank you, Kathy.
So, but that's not the only criteria when you're choosing a camera, or you may have criteria for different purposes.
Alrighty. Hey, let's. There's some comments here, and I'm gonna let you. I don't know anything about the Fujis. The last time I mentioned Fuji on the grid, I got in a lot of trouble. So I'm not gonna.
Somebody's asking if I'm looking forward to the XT2.
Yeah. So what is this? The XT.
The XT2.
That is the XT2.
Yes, it is.
Where'd you get that?
I have my sources. I was very fortunate and blessed to get a prototype.
Ooh, a prototype.
It was all blacked out. We couldn't talk about it.
Oh, but
It
now
had a code name and everything.
Ooh, a secret code name?
Yeah, it had a code name, secret code name. So yeah, so I have had this. Let's see, show you XT2 proof.
Ooh, look at that.
So I think they go on sale tomorrow. So I've had mine since. I know. I'm very lucky. It's the first time that's ever happened. It's very exciting.
Hey, I can answer one question about the Fuji. If you're wondering how heavy is it, plenty.
It
That
depends.
One,
This
well, it depends
one
on the lens. It does. The
depends
lens.
totally on the
Yeah.
lens. So this is my, and I was used to going from a camera that I literally fell down carrying to I never fall down. So I don't know.
That's worth it. That's
It's
worth the
it.
investment.
And that's like clambering over rocks with a backpack because the backpack used to just sort of, whoa, next
All right.
thing you know.
Ooh, there's one I wanted to answer. It went away. Keep going up. There it is. So that's from Ickeldot, a very good photographer in the UK. Says he asks, do you think the improved autofocus features will enable sports photography?
I don't know because I don't shoot sports. How would I know? I don't know.
Karen doesn't know. Can I tell you this? The problem with that Fuji is not going to be the autofocus problem. It's going to be that they don't make a lens for sports. I don't think Fuji makes a 400.
They make 100 to 400.
That's not a sports lens. It has to be a 400 f2.8.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and that's going to
Yeah.
be that's another problem with the Sonys as well, is they don't have the glass. The range of glass for the Sonys is pretty small.
Right. And the thing about that's very small. That was one of the big strikes against it for me. They didn't have the lenses I needed, and they didn't perform the way I needed them
So
to.
a lot of Fuji lenses.
For me, for what I want.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like a camera store where I'm, I'm not the manufacturer. So I guess every camera, company is going to focus on their main audience. For landscape and the kind of travel I do, they make a fantastic variety of lenses for what I want to do.
There you go. And you know what? I think what's really, really interesting is, let's just say that we're all here. Kathy's got a camera. I've got one. I've got the 5D Mark IV. It's on my desk. We have this one. We have all these different cameras. If we were to take pictures with them, make nice big prints, we lay them out on the table, and we bring in somebody and say, okay, which camera took which? Nobody would be able to tell you. Not a single person would be able to go, that was the Fuji XT2. Is that right?
Yeah, XT2.
That's the Fuji XT2. Yeah. That was the Mark IV. Nobody would be able to tell you. Nobody would be able to look at the final images, not online, not in a print, and tell you what the difference is.
It's true.
So this is a really important thing for people to think about, because I think that people think that these cameras all make tremendously different. The camera is your tool.
Right.
You have to choose the tool that suits your style.
That's right.
That you really pointed it out well here when you said it has the lenses that I want. I don't fall over. Like, you really pick the things, and I think that's a really important distinction. Now, I would say that that different cameras have different things. Like, certain cameras are more red, and certain cameras are better for skin tone. Like, I think the Canons for skin tone are unmatched by anybody as far as skin tone goes. And I was saying that back when I shot Nikon. By the way, when I shot Nikon, I used to go, yeah, if I was shooting just people, because I was shooting landscapes at the time, I would say, yeah, if I was shooting just portraits, I'd switch to Canon.
Right.
And I did notice a big difference. I've never seen a camera render skin tones better than Canon.
Yep.
Period.
I have to
But
agree.
everybody has to choose a camera that really speaks to them, and I think that speaks to you in a way.
It does.
They had the lenses that you wanted.
Right,
It has
and when
the
I
size.
right, and when I considered, like, would I like this to be a little lighter? Sure, but it's not, and it does these other certain things that were on. I had a list, and I was like, well, if I went to a camera that were lighter, then those trade-offs were not acceptable to me because there was other things that I didn't like. So you have to weigh it out. You know?
That camera has the one feature that it's missing from my 5D Mark IV. I say it's mine. It's not mine. They're going to ask for it back any day now.
But you're going to have one.
I'm going to have one.
Yeah, so it is
that
your
is my
camera.
main go-to camera. I've already found out what I'm going to sell to get.
Really?
I have
Nice.
a 300 2.8 that I just don't use.
Yeah. Oh, you don't need that.
That's like a $7,000 lens.
Perfect.
And it's sitting in my cage.
You can get 2 cameras now.
I could get 2 cameras.
Right?
Yes.
I love high math.
All right, we got a bunch of questions coming here. Dave Bell, thank you, Dave. Dave says, regarding the 5D Mark IV, it should have a built-in printer. Dave, I swear
love
that
Dave.
that would be the coolest feature.
Wouldn't it?
Now, they do make cameras that are not at the quality that we want,
Yeah.
right? Can you imagine if you could
Because
get
that'd be a light
if you
camera.
could get a really nice print? Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, out of it and be so light. You could backpack with it and you could like travel with it.
Yeah.
Your checklist would be SD card, battery, toner.
Bridget Jones. Bridget says, when will Canon and Nikon go to the mirrorless cameras, and when will the prices be a bit more reasonable rather than the only ones to pay for these new ones, these new add-ons are the customers? So yeah, the early adopters always pay the most, and with all the hobbyists out there. So Bridget, here's the thing. You know who's buying all those mirrorless cameras? It is hobbyists. I don't know a lot of pros that are using mirrorless cameras unless it's their second camera. Now, I mean full-time working professionals. Because if you show up on a gig with a little tiny mirrorless camera and the customer's paying you a bunch of money, they're like, you're shooting with that? I've talked to so many pro photographers that say when they go to a gig, they bring out every piece of gear they have because the customer said, well, my cousin's got a bigger camera than that. Why did I pay you? They bring out all kinds of V-flats, they're bringing out scrims, they're bringing out everything so the client feels like, okay, I invested in something. So now, I know someone's going to write in and go, well, Bob Johnson shoots professionally and he uses a mirrorless. I'm not saying that there isn't someone some professional somewhere using. There's probably a lot of professionals using it, but a lot, maybe 50. It's not 50,000. So, but to answer her question back was Nikon and Canon both make mirrorless cameras. They're not awesome. Which is why you didn't even know they made them. Nikon and Canon both make them, and it's just silence. Now, I am hoping that one day Canon, I won't be switching to Nikon. I hope that Canon comes out with a mirrorless.
Yeah.
Right? I think that there's a lot of great things about mirrorless. So I don't want to say anything bad about mirrorless cameras because I don't really have anything bad to say about the mirrorless part of it. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably an actual evolution in things. However, that being said, I want Canon to make one. I want Canon to make one that is at least as good as the mirrorlesses that are out there. They obviously have the technology because they're making like the incredible DSLRs. I think they make the absolute hands down best sports camera, the absolute hands down best all around camera, but they don't make a really great, and I don't want to make Canon, angry at me, but I think Canon even knows. They're not like, this is great. Well,
that must not be their goal. If they wanted to make one, they'd make one.
And I have no inside information on this whatsoever, but I got to imagine that they are
you would think.
You would have to imagine. I can't imagine that Canon or Nikon would go, we're just going to ignore that market, because there are people that like the advantages of mirrorless.
Right.
Right. And there's many of them. If you ever shoot like golf, Hey, the real Larry Becker said, this is cool. So the real Larry Becker says the 5D4 can wirelessly print directly to a compatible printer. Yeah, but Larry, you know how hard it is to set up the wireless on a 5D4. I read a B&H review. B&H Photo did a review on the Nikon D500 and how hard it was to set up the wireless. If I remember right, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I got to be honest with you, if I didn't work at B&H, I don't know if I ever would have figured out how to get the wireless to work.
Yeah, I know.
That's not awesome wireless. Hey, we're going to take a short break. And by short, I mean like a minute. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, Karen's here, where she's going to be answering many more Fuji questions, because here comes another Fuji question. We have a lot of questions all pouring in, and there's another Fuji question. And I want to hear what Gary Clark has to say. A lot of good stuff coming up. Don't go away. We're live here on the grid with the fabulous, what's the word?
Immaculate.
Immaculate.
I had to think for a second. Immaculate.
Immaculate Karen Hutton. Don't go away. We're live here on the grid. enjoy the jib shot.
Jib shot. Jib shot.
Hi everybody, Scott Kelby here, and I want to invite you to check out my brand new class. It's called 7 Photoshop Techniques Every Lightroom User Needs to Know. So I made this class specifically for people who subscribe to the Adobe Photographers Bundle of Photoshop and Lightroom, and they're using the heck out of the Lightroom part, and they're either intimidated or not sure about the Photoshop part. I want to get you up and running fast. I want to show you the most essential reasons why you need to go over, what to do when you get there, and how to make the most of it. And it's exclusively here at Kelby1.com.
Well, hi everyone, Corey Barker here, and I want to tell you about my newest course on advanced compositing and finishing effects. Now, what we're going to be doing is going through the entire process. We're going to be selecting and extracting a subject, building a background element, and we're going to be adding lighting and particle effects to create a really dramatic look. So, we're going to have a lot of fun, you're going to learn a lot of really cool things, and be sure to check it out exclusively at Kelby1.com.
Hi everybody, Mike Cabasi here. Check out my new class, Flat to Flattering. We capture images with a two-dimensional tool. I'm going to show you how to light so that your images look three-dimensional. We're going to teach you how to create depth in your pictures, some texture in the background, how to put a key highlight on the hair, and make your images look flattering. Check out my new class on Kelby One, Flat to Flattering.
Hey, we're back, everybody. Scott Kelby here with the fantastic, fabulous,
Ludicrous. And immaculate.
and I mean that in the kindest way possible,
yeah.
Karen Hutton.
Yeah, you're just so
So
awesome.
Karen is here as a Fuji shooter, and we have some Fuji questions, so I want to get to those. Hey, just want to mention tomorrow, for those of you joined late, tomorrow I'm doing my Iceland landscape adventure. It is a private Kelby One members only event tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. If you're a Kelby One member, you're invited to come and join us. If you're not a Kelby One member, you can take the free trial and still come in and watch tomorrow. I'm going to be going over camera technique and showing some images, doing post-processing technique, and taking questions live. Iceland is an amazing place. Here's the best way I can describe it. Iceland is a combination of New Zealand, Hawaii, and Alaska.
God,
in one
how
place.
can you go wrong
That's
with that
easy
combination?
to get around and see. It was just amazing. I fell in love, and I wasn't expecting to like it at the level that I did. I thought it would be nice.
You know how buckets have that when it's full, right before it goes over the edge? That's where my bucket list, which is really full, is Iceland is right there on the.
Do you know it's only 5 hours from New York?
Really?
It is the easiest. It's quicker than going to the UK or anything. It's like right there.
You know, when you go to Europe, that's one of the routes. You can fly Iceland Air, and it'll stop in Reykjavik, and then you can go the rest of the way. So why not stay a week?
Why not? Why not? All right, lots of questions. So I want to get to Gary Clark's. He says he switched from a Nikon FX earlier this year to the Fuji. His X-T2 is arriving tomorrow. And this is really good, and I'm hoping that Gary will expand on this. Gary says the weight savings is a minor point. That's not what they're about.
It's true.
So Gary, I'm going to ask you, and we're of course going to ask Karen. But the reason why I mentioned the weight savings is because when I go to forums and see people talking about it, like people will point me to, Scott, why aren't you using a Sony? Look at all these people talking about it. It's like they're all saying the same thing. No one's saying anything really but about it's a great sensor and it's light. Mm-hmm. Well, I know it's not light, but I agree with the sensor. It's got a great sensor. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's the other thing? So the weight is a minor point. So what is it? Now, I'm asking you to put words in Gary's mouth, so we're not going to answer for Gary. Hopefully Gary will answer back.
I hope he does.
What is the other part of it? It's not just the weight.
No, for me, it is there's something Fuji knows how to do with color and contrasts and micro contrasts. I'm from film, so it's filmic. It's just filmic. And I like the
Filmic?
Filmic. You like that? You can use that.
Thank you.
You don't even have to credit me.
Really?
Really.
You're awesome.
If you want to, you can.
I don't think so.
Okay. Whatever. Anyway.
No, we're going to throw it filmic. Remember? Karen Hutton, trademark 2016. Filmic.
Filmic. It's along with this gesture, but that's another story. So the images themselves and the color is because what I was specifically looking for was just enough lighter that I would stop falling down, because that was seriously no fun. This, even though it's not the lightest, I don't fall down. So hey, mission
Hey,
accomplished.
that's a very real thing, though, because like I had a backpack this week when I was, and I'm telling you, you get off balance. You're climbing up and down rocks and stuff. You get off balance really, really, really easily.
Yeah.
So that's not a little thing when you
No.
say falling down with your gear.
No.
It's tough.
It is, and I've damaged myself doing that. So yeah, so the colors and the micro contrast and the dynamic range, and a lot of them can claim dynamic range, but for me it was sort of the perfect storm of the camera design. My favorite camera back in the day was the Minolta SRT 102.
My first one was the 101. I have it sitting on my shelf at home. The
Right.
Minolta SRT 101.
Yeah.
I had that.
So
the
when I
102
picked,
was better.
Yeah, I know. So when I picked this up, and the first FujiFilm that I picked up, it's smaller, but it felt reminiscent. So then beyond that, I personally like the way this is programmable. I can make the buttons programmable. So for the settings that I use, not everybody, I don't have to dive into the menu for everything. I just go
Right.
zip, 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 boom, done. There's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 settings that I use all the time. And I've got all these shortcuts, super easy. I like the controls. And for the XT2, they made this joystick so you can, move your focus point around.
Is the screen touchscreen?
The screen is not touchscreen, but then I never had a touchscreen. So it wasn't something.
That's so embarrassing. That's so 1990s. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just trying to brag about the touchscreen on the 5D Mark IV.
I mean, I know people love that.
But you know what that does have? It has so I am thrilled with the 5D Mark IV. There's one thing it's missing, and it has it on that camera.
What's that?
A attenuating screen, is that
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Actuating?
So here, let me show you.
Actuating screen.
So here, you got this.
Yeah.
Now on the XT2, check this out.
Ah.
So I'm ergonomically challenged physically. I've got some back and neck and stuff problems, and so when I go down low or set it up on a low tripod, it's so hard to be doing this, but I don't have to
Yes.
anymore.
So that's the only thing that if I could add anything to the 5D Mark IV, that would be the only thing I would add. I would have loved, and you know what? Canon has the technology because they have it on their 80D and they have it on their 70D. They had it back on their 70D.
Do you want me to show that again? Because I didn't do a very good job of showing it. Do you want to see this?
Yeah, let's go to camera 2.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, we've got this.
Yes,
so,
it
so
comes
you
out.
can go down low and see your shot on that. But say you've got your camera on a tripod or you're just holding it vertically and you want to have it down low. Sorry, I'll keep it up here. You just flip this little baby out and you got your vertical. Just turn this on. You got your nice little vertical shot.
Look at you.
Right there.
Like a boss.
Like a boss.
Like, como un jefe.
Only not like, is. I'm kidding. I don't know what it is. I get behind the microphone and all, yeah. Okay.
All right, Eric Lanley says, "Hi, Scott. I'm happy with my Canon for 11 years. Might be time to upgrade, Eric. Just kidding." All right, so let's see. Mark Rodriguez says, "I wish they
love
would have
this.
integrated a phone into the 5D Mark IV so I could replace my cell phone with my DSLR."
Right?
Mark, you're not going to stick your DSLR in your shirt pocket. Come on.
So now you could have a DSLR with a printer and a phone. And, it's an all-in-one. And then maybe, the new thing will be, get a Sherpa that'll come with it.
All right.
And you'll be set.
Here's a question. Karen, do you use Lightroom Mobile on your iPhone?
I don't.
Karen?
I know.
Here. Take this
Thank
with
you. Well, that's what.
We have others. Don't worry. We're still going to give away some at the end of the show.
I'll start now.
Seriously, Lightroom Mobile. No, do you use Lightroom on the desktop?
I don't. It's just not what I do. It's not my thing. I've tried. And
What do you
tried.
use?
I use Photoshop.
Photoshop's hard. You ever use Photoshop? It's really hard.
Once in a while, I
No,
use it.
Seriously, you got to switch to Lightroom.
I don't. I've tried.
Here's the thing. No.
Why would I? Why?
Listen.
Okay, so now you've been challenging. I'm going to challenge you on the software thing.
Please, thank you.
Explain to me. You know how I work. You know what I create.
Yes. She does, and she creates beautiful work. By the way, so when everyone was coming in today to see your class, we had beautiful big your prints.
Yeah.
Big and beautiful, and people were just like, wow. I mean, her work is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
That
That's very nice.
aside, here's the thing. Right now, you
love
want to
this.
process an image from your Fuji.
He's going to work for this.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm well prepared. So you're gonna sort the images. You're gonna go to Bridge, find the one you want, open it up in Camera Raw, and then eventually you'll go to Photoshop, right? Mm-hmm. How many programs do you need to process one raw photo? 3. You need 3 programs. Doesn't that seem like a bit much? That'd be like saying you need 3 lenses to shoot one picture. You're spending so much time. When in Lightroom, it's all there. It's one program, you sort everything, and there are features in Lightroom that are still not in Camera Raw and Photoshop. It's faster, it does all. I spend 80% of my time in Lightroom, and I only go to Photoshop in an emergency. That's Lightroom Mobile, that's different. That's an extension of it. Right, that's an extension.
I'm just helping
Lightroom.
you.
Thank you.
I'm just here to help
I'm not
you.
trying to sell the book because the book is about. But I'm telling you what, everybody that I've talked to, because I talk to people like you all the time that are holdouts, and you're like, I know Photoshop, but I don't want to. I have a class. I'm going to pitch this. I have a class called Learn Lightroom in 1 hour.
I know how to use Lightroom.
Well, then why aren't you using it?
Have you seen me process a photo? I can't do what I do in Lightroom. It's impossible.
What is it that you do?
Layers upon layers and textures and brushing
you
and this.
use Lightroom with Photoshop. You don't throw Photoshop away, but you've already learned the hard program.
So now why would I need 2 programs?
You only need the second program for an emergency. Like you'll be amazed what you can do in Lightroom, and then you'll go every once in a while you'll hit a wall, like where you need to do layers and layers and layers and stuff, and then you'll go, but the adjustment brush. I have a class on the adjustment brush too. I got a Lightroom class on whatever in the world you want. So anyway, you got to give it a serious try, because everyone that makes the switch finally goes, oh my gosh, I can't believe I waited so long. I mean, I've talked to so many people who will send me notes and go, you told me to switch to Lightroom, and I was always kind of like, no, I'm already good at Photoshop. I already do it. It does all I want. And they switch and they're like, it's changed my life. You'll spend more time behind the camera, because you're not using 3 programs to do one photo. Just saying.
He doesn't know how I process photos.
I don't, but whatever you're doing, it's working, so I guess maybe don't break it.
Right.
Okay, here we go. Gary Clark says, it's the color rendition for Fuji. So this is Gary following up to when we asked what was the other thing. The JPEGs are great, but I still shoot RAW. I like the manual tactile controls.
Me too.
So that's what Karen was talking about, where you're actually moving like the ISO and things. Instead of going into a menu, you're actually using buttons. And the lens range is also now very good. I use the 100 to 400 for motorsports. Being able to view the effects of exposure changes before you take the shot is a big plus for me. Until you walk into the studio, then you throw your thing in the garbage. Sorry, Gary, I'm just kidding. I could go on, but I'd get boring. It just feels right for the type of work I do.
Right.
And Gary, there's no problem with that. Though once you take like a mirrorless camera when you have an electronic viewfinder and you go into a studio, all bets are off. It's kind of a mess. However, I mean, that is, you try to shoot with strobes in a studio with an electronic viewfinder, it's the worst. And I think it one day will get better.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's, you get the gear that suits your needs, like we said earlier.
Yeah, and that's what he said. He likes the buttons on top there. He likes those switches.
I do too.
He likes those, and he likes the particular dynamic range, which somebody else writes here about the dynamic range on the Fuji. So there's definitely, I don't want to say no one should use a Fuji. I'm not saying that on any level, but I think sometimes when I read some of the reasons why people use it, it's like, well, that's because you don't shoot in the studio. It's because there's all because,
and I don't.
Like, he shoots motorsports with a 100 to 400. I'll guarantee you that 100 to 400 on a Fuji is probably at least an f3.5 to 5.6, if not something worse. So it's not what a professional would shoot sports at, right? That's, in other words, and this is a problem with Sony. It's a problem with Fuji. It's a problem that people don't want to talk about, but there are professional things that you can do that you, like for example, when I shoot for a wire service, when I was filling out my application for the wire service before, the first thing I want to know is, what is your equipment? And they wanted to know, it said, do you have a 400 f2.8? If you don't, you're out of the game.
Yeah.
You're out of the game.
Well, that's the thing, was when people say, should I get a Fuji? I'm like, well, what do you shoot? And if they say sports, and I'm like, no, stick with You know, if you're shooting Canon,
I
stick
would say
with
the
that.
same thing with wildlife.
Right.
Because you have to track, we have to have super fast autofocus,
Right.
you have to have really, really long lenses.
And it depends on like how you know how there's some people who they shoot sports, they shoot wireless or wireless,
yeah.
wildlife. I shoot wildlife too, but that's not my primary focus. So for the kind of wildlife shooting I do, this is fine. But if I were serious and like, you know, really, you know, that was my profession, probably not. Certainly not for sports. Well, you know, I can shoot a little bit here and there. Landscape, portraits, street, get the tool for the job you need to do.
Yeah, well, to go back to the gentleman we were just talking about is, so I spent a weekend with a Sony A7R2. And I'll sum it up, and I don't want to be mean to Sony people because the people that love it, and they have their reasons
Right,
and all.
absolutely.
But I will say this, the sensor in that camera is amazing. The sensor in that Sony is outstanding. I still don't know if I laid out, you know, pictures here that anybody would be able to go, oh, that's the Sony, that's the Fuji, that's the Nikon D5, that's the D500, that's a Canon, that's the Mark IV. Nobody would be able to do that. So while you may see some difference or whatever, the public will never know.
Right.
Not online, not in print. Just stop pretending that they will. They won't. But I will say this: the body of the body, it was like a grade sensor in a consumer body. I was surprised how many things that I was not able to do that I take for granted in a DSLR. In the Sony. I was like surprised, like, this is kind of funky. Like, I was like, well, why can't it do this? Why can't it do that? I'm like, and then I realized it's not a professional camera. It is a consumer camera with an amazing sensor. But I couldn't tell a pro you need to get that because of the lenses, because of it's heavy as crap.
Well, a pro, how are you defining pro? Doing sports, doing
No, someone who's making
commercial?
their living. Someone who's making their living with it.
Because I know pros who make their living doing photography who use mirrorless, but they're not doing.
Hey, there are pros that make their
that.
living shooting film.
Right.
I mean, there's someone, whatever camera's out there. I talk to professionals. They're using Olympus. They're using Pentax. They're using weird stuff. But that's not your average everyday shooter. You're not going to see that stuff out in the wild. You know, the last time I saw, no offense to Olympus, but the last time I saw a pro shooting an Olympus, I'd be like, dude, what's going on? Why do you have an Olympus?
Well, mirrorless is still young. I mean,
it is. This is all going to progress and get better.
Sure is.
And I think that you will see Canon and Nikon both come out with killer mirrorless cameras. I don't know when, I don't know why. No, I know why, but I don't have any idea when. And I really wish I knew. I mean, I wish someone would tell me because I think it opens up a lot of interesting doors.
Yeah.
But like, if you could take Canon's lens range and pair it with a really great body, that would be an insane seller. And the look of the old Canon camera, you know, like the Canon's got, Nikon and Canon, everybody has this look for their old cameras, and they just updated it for this new body. So I think that's a thing that has attracted a lot of people. They look cool.
Yeah, they do. They definitely do. Of course, you know, it's really expensive to develop. You know, Canon and Nikon have had a long time at doing what they're doing, and they're specialists at what they do. They've had a long time to develop that line of lenses.
Yeah.
So this whole, I think, you know, the first people who started with, you know, making the first companies anyway that started making mirrorless, it's expensive to develop new technology like that. So I think they have to let the market drive it, and that it's, you know, as it's being driven now, I think in the next, like you say, in the next few years, it's going to be amazeballs.
Amazeballs. Hey, can you scroll down a second? I want to ask another question here. This is for you. This is from Anand. Does the XT2 take a long time to start up from standby like the X100T?
I don't use the X100T, but I think it's probably pretty fast.
So is that on standby now?
No, I turned it off.
Okay. Well, I think they mean by like when the camera goes to sleep, how long does it take to wake it? Like if you let it go to sleep.
Yeah, well, let's let it go to sleep.
We'll let it go to sleep.
Yeah. Go to sleep.
Let's see what else. Happy birthday, Karen Hutton from Lisa.
Lisa Donchak.
Lisa Donchak.
Yay!
She asked a question though. What is the coolest photography-related thing that you've learned recently? It doesn't have to be gear-related.
Oh gosh, she always asks the best questions. The coolest photography related thing. Well, it's funny because the thing that I've been focusing so much on is this whole using your, you know, finding your artistic voice thing. Because to me, that makes every other question so much simpler to answer. It's like a one-stop shop. I mean, even with this whole camera question that we're going into, we're talking about all this technically. And you know, that's okay. We can do that. But for me, if you know who you are, what you want to do, and where your lines of demarcation are because of photographer know thyself, it's pretty cool because it makes all of this so much simpler. And it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. It doesn't matter what anybody's opinion about what's pro and what isn't. It's irrelevant because you know what does what you want it to do.
Yeah, this is your tool.
Yeah.
If you're a painter, you can paint with all kinds of different brushes. Nobody knows what brush you painted with, what brand of brush you painted with.
Right, and then you may paint with rose petals or, you know, a Kleenex dipped in paint. That might be your brush, or a basketball. You know, there's some amazing artists out there that use different kinds of tools. So I don't know. I don't know if that's new and it's photography related, but it's life related, it's art related, it's a one-stop shop.
Yeah, and you know, I think people really get hung up on specs. I really do think.
I know,
and
it's so
and you know
tiring.
what? At the end of the day, like for example, the guy that I was talking about that wrote on my blog, right? The guy I was talking about he's like, well, the specs aren't this or the specs aren't
I
that. I
know.
don't. But here's the thing: is like, you know what? That's a sucker bet.
I know.
When you're chasing specs, because here's the thing: he's made up his mind. He already said, oh, it's not this, it's not that. He hasn't seen the camera. He hasn't touched the camera. He hasn't shot the camera.
Right.
He's never made a single image from it, and he can tell you why it's not the camera for him. Or why
Or
it's
you.
disappointing.
Sometimes I'll have them tell me why it's not the right one for me, or that
Yeah.
I chose wrong because why didn't I had somebody take me to task, well, why didn't you do this and this and this and this? Well, actually I had, and I'd actually written many blog posts about it back when I was
Yeah,
making
it sounds
the
like you
decision.
put your time into
Yeah,
finding
I
the camera
did.
that was right for you.
Right, I did. And so I don't think I would have changed from Canon if I had a different lifestyle, you know? But then this ended up fulfilling something really wonderful for me, and it ended up better than I expected. So that's great. But he was like, well, you didn't do this, and you didn't do that, so that can't be the best. And I'm like, dude, you don't even know me.
You don't know, Karen.
No,
You don't know what she had for breakfast.
no.
All right, Dave Clayton says, Karen is awesome to watch. Great show. He says, I saw her at Photoshop World, but was too shy to introduce myself and say hello.
Dave, don't ever do that again. Next
Don't
time,
do that, Dave.
don't do that.
She's very friendly in
I'm
person.
very friendly, and if you come up and you say hello, I will say hello back.
She will, and
I'm like that.
she'll embrace you.
I might.
With, what's the word I'm looking for?
In immaculately.
Immaculicity, thank you. It's
I don't know.
filmic.
Filmic. It's
Anyway,
weird.
Dave Clayton. Can I plug Dave Clayton while we're here? Dave Clayton is my guest blogger on my blog today. He is an awesome designer, and he had a very, very interesting blog post today. I will say this: Dave may win the award for longest blog post of the year.
Really?
It's very in depth. Hey, can we just scroll down? There's Dave. That's a picture of Dave. Just scroll down, Meredith, if you will, just so you can kind of see. This is.
Holy
keep
cow.
going. Yeah, he goes on and on.
Dave, you're an animal.
Yeah, just keep going. Keep going.
But it's interesting. It's like visually, like you're like, what's next?
Keep going.
That's so cool. Okay, Dave, you got a new fan. It's me.
Dave is awesome. He's one of the most awesome guys on the planet. In fact, where's my book?
So Dave, while
book went
your
away.
book
Oh.
is here.
My book is here.
Yeah. So while he's looking for what he's looking for, Dave, you have a homework assignment.
I would like to read you who I dedicated this book to. On the dedication page, can we zoom in on that? There's I dedicate, all my books to someone. This one says, this book is dedicated to my dear friend and colleague, Dave Clayton, one of the best guys on the planet.
I don't want to hear this again, Dave, that you're too shy to come up and say hello. Your
you
homework
need-
assignment is to come up and say hello the next time we're somewhere together. Go.
At Photoshop World. He's
Yeah.
a Photoshop World instructor.
PSW.
Anyway, Dave is one of the great. He's a guy that you meet and instantly fall in love with. He's that guy.
Why isn't he here?
Because he lives in the UK, stinking
Whatever.
rat. I'm trying to get him to basically run across the border in the middle of the night. All right. Dave Bell says, don't be shy around Karen.
That's right.
No one nicer in the world.
Thank you, Dave.
I agree. Totally agree. Ickeldot says, the Fuji XT10 is
Yep.
very good for street photography and low light, by the way.
It is.
It's unobtrusive is
Yep.
his word.
Very.
Penny Palmer says, I'm also a Canon user, professional wedding photographer. I'm considering the Fuji XT2 for travel, smaller and lighter.
Depends on the lens.
Yeah, Penny, don't fall into that smaller and lighter crap.
Well, okay, but
Don't fall for it, Penny. Hey,
he's
I got it right
prejudiced.
here.
What can we say? He's biased. The thing
No.
of it is lighter. If you don't get
A
this
good lens. If you
So-
buy a crappy lens,
this
it's
is-
very light.
God, Right.
Let me see.
And that's got a bracket on it.
This is what I say about the Sony. If you take the lens off.
This lens, if I put her lens, bring your lens over
Yeah,
here.
but her lens is.
No, it's great. See, this is the thing that people don't get about Fuji now. You're like, oh, it's the kit lens. It's a good lens. You know,
Well-
you're comparing it to can you go to Paris and walk for 10, 15 miles carrying your gear?
Yes, I
Pause.
can. I do it all the time.
Alright.
I take this.
And
of
you're
course.
also a big guy. I mean, us,
course.
like, for me, it's too much.
Gronk have camera. This is much lighter with this lens, but this is not the lens I would use. I would use that lens.
Right, of course you would, because you would want to be out in the rain
Because
like I do.
I am Gronk.
Right.
Well, that's also it. This is when you use that lens, it's sealed.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Now, when you put a 7200 on there, which is my lens, the 7200 makes that thing twice as heavy. And so this is what I would say is just be a little realistic about that. Don't look at because you look at the weight of the body and you go, ooh, it's going to be really light. Once you put a good lens on, not that that's a bad lens. Kathy, I'm going to give you this back because now you're like naked and exposed on your
I know.
thing there. Here you go.
Sorry.
That's a darn light lens.
I know, right?
I'm not sure that's a butterfly. If you let it go, it'll fly away. But
I haven't seen the pictures from that lens, but the 18 to 55 that's that light the images are amazing.
all right, I got a lot of
It's like,
comments here.
whatever.
Whatever. Princess Leia. Is it Leia? Princess Leia?
I think so.
I guess it is.
I
What a
think so.
great handle. Said, so actually, I'm a Photoshop user as well. I don't know Lightroom well. I'm learning via Kelby One. Yay, thank you. Karen, what's your favorite photo editing program?
Well, I've
Asks-
already been dissed all over the place, all over this table I use Photoshop.
No, you know what it is? I just know that you would love Lightroom if you really embraced it, but you have to embrace it.
He
And-
assumes I haven't embraced it. See, this is the assumption, is you assume that because I don't really use Lightroom, that I haven't embraced it, used it, tried it, when in fact the opposite is true.
And you know what happens when you assume? I make an ass out of you.
And
Oh, and me. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, I
right.
didn't realize there was more. All right. Stanley says, love my Fuji X-E2. Fuji is the only camera company that continues to do upgrades to firmware, making old cameras new. Oh, not true, Stanley. My 1DX is better than the day I bought it. Because there was a massive firmware update for free that made my 1DX tremendously better. It adds so many features. We had to do a video on all the new features in my free update on my Canon 1DX.
And you know what makes me fall down faster than a Canon 6D or 5D3?
A 1DX. Yeah, can I tell you something?
It's a moot point.
So here's what I got at a football game. I got a 400 2.8 on a 1DX. I got another 1DX with a 70 to 200 f2.8.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
All right.
So you know what? You know what you need to do is you need to bring that pack to Tahoe, and I'll take you down that path down to Bonsai Rock, and we'll see how you do.
Oh, I wouldn't take that to Bonsai Rock, a 400 f2.8. Bonsai Rock's right there. I would take my 5D Mark IV. It's not mine. I keep saying it's mine. I haven't bought it yet. I would take a borrowed Canon 5D, and I would take like the 16 to 35 is very light for Canon.
Yeah.
The 14.
I love the 14.
The 14 is really nice and light. When you go to the 11 to 24,
A little too wide.
it's not too wide. It's too heavy.
Yeah.
It's very heavy. I will tell you that. It's very
And you'd
heavy.
only take one camera and one lens?
I might take two, but I mean the 14 is probably what I'm gonna.
So you're only going to do one kind of shot after going down a path like that?
I might take two, but I'm you know, I would take two.
Okay, I'm just throwing down the gauntlet here,
I would
honey.
take two.
That's all. I'm just
I
saying.
would take two.
Bring it. Two lenses and two cameras.
No, one camera.
I can bring both mine. I can bring.
Oh, I could bring more. I mean, I've got a 5DS.
Okay.
But I would
Gauntlet on the ground.
only. Oh man. Hey, you know what? If you remember right, Karen, may I call you Karen?
Yeah.
Karen, if you remember right, the last time I was in Lake Tahoe, I did call you.
Yes, you did.
And I asked you for help in finding locations.
I did. I was
You know
in
what Karen said?
I'm in France.
I'm in France. Here's what she actually said. Her entire thing was, suck it, I'm in France.
I didn't say that. I didn't. In fact, as if I remember right, I gave you coordinates.
She did. But we missed having you there.
I know. He didn't call ahead. He didn't write.
No,
He just shows up. Whatever. Planning ahead. In landscape photography, planning is part of what you want to do. Because by planning, you ensure that you have exactly what you need to get the shot.
Can I tell you something, Karen? And I'm serious when I say this.
Yes.
I wish you lived here because you would be my permanent co-host on this show. I love having you, right? Am I right? I love having her on this show.
Anytime, Scott.
You were so much fun. You were so awesome. If you lived here, it would be the grid with Scott and Karen.
Well, if you lived in Tahoe, I'd do it too.
You know what else I love?
Whatever.
I love that you look at things so differently than I do.
I do. I totally do. And you
have
go
an
on and on
artist-
about stuff I just don't really care about.
Yeah, you have an artist heart. And you
Yeah.
just say mean things to me, and I just let it roll off my back.
I know. I love that because you know I love you.
I know, and I love you, and that's
Right?
what the problem is.
I'm gonna cry.
I'm gonna cry now.
Okay.
We're back with you live. Scrolling up. We
Okay.
have so many comments here. Just scrolling up. David says he's looking forward to tomorrow's live broadcast. Thank you. Tim Ellenberg says, I've been on a Kelby 1 crash course since joining 4 days ago. Tim, I love you. Stanley says, Fuji also processes the RAW for lens imperfections in the camera, as does the Canon 5D Mark IV. Martin says...
Whatever. Good. They should. They're both good cameras.
No, they're
They
not.
should.
His is bad. I'm just kidding.
Suck it, Scott.
I do not have... I'm not sure
He said that I said that earlier, which basically amounts to permission for me to say it now. I just wanted to translate that for you in this moment. Carry on.
I don't know what to say.
You shouldn't.
Let's go to Obi-2 Kenobi. Thank you for bringing some levity to Karen's attacks on me. Scott, this week I received your book, How Do I Do That in Photoshop? Thanks, it's a great book.
Yep.
Thank you for that unsolicited testimony, Obi-2 Kenobi. And Kubasi, Mike Kubasi, who was our friend out in Hollywood Kubasi, he's a Kelby 1 instructor.
I'm just going to call you Hollywood from now on.
That's what we call him.
Go Hollywood.
If I call him on the phone, I'm like, Hollywood, what are you doing? Or he calls me.
I love it.
And he shoots on all these big TV shows. He was like
Really?
the staff shooter for like NCIS and for CSI
I'm
New
not
York.
worthy. Okay, now I feel small.
He's a guy.
I feel small and not very professional.
So he said, so Karen, did you switch from Nikon or Canon?
Canon.
And did you find that the menu was very confusing? I think he means on here.
I did not. I did have to, I thought, I can hack this thing, and I really couldn't. But I honestly, and I absolutely hate having to learn new systems. It just irritates me.
Clearly, Photoshop user.
Whatever. And so I actually used the book just to get what?
Go to the very end.
What?
Jen. What is it? There's no winning this one, Scott.
No.
There's no winning.
No, I don't even know you
Lori
really, but
Rubin,
thank
you go, girl. Everyone,
Yeah.
I'm getting roasted here. Karen is so awesome. She can really put Scott in his place. But it's not other people that put me in their place.
do you like
she does
how
it with such smoothness.
Thank
like you
you.
don't even realize you're being slammed.
Exactly. And
It's
you've given me the
beautiful.
perfect forum to do it. And
like
I
butter.
completely forgot what I was talking about, which was, in fact, what you were after. Did you see how he did that? He didn't like what I was saying. So he goes, oh, go scroll to the bottom. There's something more relevant there. Wow. He's smooth.
Cats sound rare.
It's not catty. It's just true. What was the question?
I don't know, but look at camera 2. This is a messed up show.
This is a messed up
I
show.
feel violated.
Do not. You love it. Come on. What were we talking about?
I have no idea.
Well, whatever.
Martin says my D800 sleeps with the fishes because of my Fuji X-T1.
Does he really say that? Where does he say that?
Right there, Martin.
Oh, sleeps with the fishes. Yeah. XT1, great camera.
Not really, Martin.
Okay. We have a Lightroom and a Fuji problem here.
You got to look at camera 2 if you're going to emote.
Okay, I'm gonna emote and I'm gonna wait until it's time.
Wow, he's really slow with that camera. Wow.
He's on your team.
I know.
He likes you.
He's new. He's
like,
new.
I'm not
He's
going
new.
to turn this
There
camera
we go.
on because
All right, there we
Karen's
go.
going to emote. And I forgot what I was saying.
Oh, we went to the second camera and everything.
Well, it took an hour. So, by then I've thought about 5,000 thoughts.
Phil Norton says, Karen is the boss in all caps. I know. They're going to be playing back little clips of this.
Honey,
of
I'm
me
glad
getting
you think that
roasted.
being infirm is the boss because I feel better about myself now. So thank you for the confidence build and whatever. Oh, so what I was saying was, we have a Lightroom and a Fujifilm problem. He's chiding me. This is what started it. He got all up in my grill here about Lightroom and how I'm not a really good photographer unless I'm using Lightroom.
Oh, don't put words in my mouth. No.
I don't have to. You kind of like threw it out there, gauntlet number 2. And so now we're talking Fuji, right? So Fujifilm, by the way, it's Fujifilm. And you know, you don't have to like it. You don't have to think it's a professional camera.
No, I didn't say that. Here's what I said.
Folks, how long?
Look,
how many times did he say
look,
it's not a professional camera?
It is good for there to be multiple cameras all competing.
I know. I should
and
stop
you know what?
razzing
If
you.
you
This
want to
is your
use a
show.
lesser camera, I have zero problem with that. If you find that it suits your needs, because your needs are obviously very narrow and very small, it's like I don't want to fall over. I get it. I'm cool with that. I'm just totally pulling your chain. I'm just totally messing
Okay,
with you.
somebody's-
No, I honestly believe, and all kidding aside, that I always tell people if they're like, I'm not sure which camera to get. You know what 2 pieces of advice I give them? Number 1, get the camera your friends have.
Right. No, you don't.
No, I do.
Do you really?
You know why?
No. Why?
Yes,
That's
because you're going to have a million questions. You're going to have a million questions, and your friends are right there to go, oh, it's right here. Here's how you do it.
Right.
Number 2 is you're going to be able to borrow their lenses and borrow their stuff.
Right.
And that is a big thing. When you have a friend that will go, hey, man, I've got a 7, you want a 14? Here, take mine. Those 2 things, having someone that really knows it, it's just like having a Photoshop friend.
Mm-hmm.
Going it alone.
Photoshop friend.
Well, Photoshop friend. We all need
Be my
Photoshop friends.
Friend. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Is-
You're a hater.
is-
You can't be my
I love Photoshop. Come on. I'm the editor of Photoshop User Magazine. I'm not dissing Photoshop. I'm just saying.
I'm so confused now.
No, it's just Lightroom is awesome. Anyway, and the reason why, I'm not trying to give you heat about using Photoshop. I think that if you really embraced Lightroom, that I think that you would fall in love with it. It's not going to stop you from using Photoshop. I still use Photoshop. I read Photoshop tutorials
Will
like
you be
every
my
week.
personal tutor?
I will. I'll tell you, you can send me a note, text me, call me anytime and say, how do you do this in Lightroom? And I probably know it. I don't know everything in the world about Lightroom, but I know a lot. I've been getting better. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, Josh Caleb says, hashtag Catterday, hashtag Peter Treadway. Oh, now Peter's a friend of mine, and that's why he's going to also jump on me and make me look stupid. Peter says, Karen is being very tactful with her toasting, and the art of tact is telling someone to go to hell and having them look forward to the journey.
Oh, Peter, I love you. I don't even know who you are, but you're awesome. That's
Ickle Dot
very
says,
funny.
this has been one of the best shows. Different voices make for great conversation
Yeah,
and
it
discussion.
does, and it's funny.
All
It's
right,
fun.
we're out of time. It's like 5:08
Wow.
and stuff like that.
We are out of time,
And
but we're not out of fun.
Peter says he promised himself a Kelby One membership for Christmas. Peter, here's what you need to do. Find the other, there's only 2 Peters in all of England. Find Peter Treadway and ask him to buy it for you. I mean, you guys, you know, you have to meet at some point, right?
Oh my goodness, this
No,
is funny.
there's 2. And I know them both, kind of. I know one like through the show and one in person.
You know everyone.
I don't know everyone.
Yeah, you do.
I didn't know that person that
That's
asked
one.
you earlier, and she
It's
seemed
only
very
one.
nice and smart.
Oh, Lisa Donchak, she's
Yeah,
awesome.
she seems
She's
really smart.
brilliant.
Yeah, her
Yeah.
question was really like,
Deep.
it was. It was
Everything
good.
she says is deep.
She's deep.
She's awesome.
She's awesome. Well, Karen,
Scott?
we're almost done.
Wow.
I know, right?
Time has
flown. Yes. We are going to give away. Here we go. Let me just move your camera
Yeah.
here. Wow, things
Want to
heavy.
wash your hands?
No, it's heavy.
After that. What? See? He said it twice.
I'm going to,
He thought you didn't hear it the first
man, that
5
thing is
times
heavy.
that he
Here we
said
go.
it. Here we go with the book. Okay. Back to the book.
We're giving away 3 of these today. This is my brand new book. It just came off press. It's light. It's the. It's not that big of a book. It's only what, 100 and.
So does that mean it's got less value? It's not really a professional book?
No,
Because
but
it's
I
so
charge
light?
less for it. It's only
Huh.
$24. $24 list. You know what they sell it for on Amazon? Like $3. Anyway, it is 20. It's 135 pages. It is the Lightroom mobile book. We're going to be giving away 3 copies today. Now, look, if you don't win, and it's likely you're not going to, because thousands and thousands of people watch this show, you don't have to be a loser. You can go and buy. You could go to like Amazon and pre-order these, and you'll get yours like super quick, because I think they're going to be in stores on Monday, and Amazon ships so quick. All right, but if you don't, here's how you win this book or the Lens Pro to Go. gift card.
Do you want me to hold
By the
those
way,
for you? Do you need
can I
help
sound,
with that?
this is, okay, we'll just go on. Frick. Here's where you go to enter the contest. Go to kelby1.com/webcast-contest. Say you're watching the grid and tell us which of the things you'd like to win in the comments. You do need to say that you're not a robot. I don't know why, and then hit send. But in the comments field, say, I want the gift card. I want the $50 gift card to Lens Pro to Go. And can I just, they're not a sponsor, so I'm just going to say this. Lens Pro to Go. If you want to like rent a lens, now you'd probably have to have like a Canon or a Nikon, a company that has a lot of lenses.
Go ahead. I'm not going to say a word. I'm going to give you that one because you're not as
Because I've just beat you down.
Because you're just not as immaculate as I am, so.
That's true.
Yeah.
I am not immaculate at all.
Neither am I really, but.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Lens Pro to Go. So if you ever want to try out a lens or rent a lens, like let's say that you are shooting a sports game or something, you want to try a really, really great lens, they will rent you.
Like a Canon.
Can you do me a favor? Can you back off that zoom a little bit? I look better a little. There we go. That was way the hell too close to be on me. See, I don't mind it if it's a still, because I retouch my photos to death. My goal, and I have it written above my computer, keep retouching till I look like George Clooney. That close, I should never be seen.
There's a preset for that. I hear.
Ever. I don't let my dog see me that close. Maggie, the wonder dog, she starts to lick me. I'm like, Maggie, you need to be right back here because that is too close. Because if Maggie gets closer, she starts screaming. It's weird for a dog. Anyway, Lens Pro to Go, they're awesome people, and they were very kind enough to give us these gift cards to give to you guys. You rent it, they send you a box of stuff, you use it, you put it back in the box and reseal it, send it off. It's a great experience. They're great people. They have great stuff. Lens Pro to Go. Unsolicited testimony. All right. What else? Hey, I'm going to be at, I completely forgot to plug important things today. I'm going to be at Photo Plus Expo doing a masterclass on lighting. And that is in the morning. And then later in that afternoon, I'm going on location. Lexar is sponsoring me to do a photo walk. But it's not just walking around. It is actually an on-location lighting class for Hot Shoe Flash. So that is 1 in the morning, which is studio lighting, 1 in the afternoon, Hot Shoe Flash on location. It's going to be a lot of fun. Go to Photo Plus Expo and you can sign up there. There's only a few spots left, so make sure you get one of those. Hey, tomorrow we have a new class coming out. It's called How to Use Canon's new 80D. So the Canon EOS 80D with Larry Becker. So Larry and I worked on this class together. Larry taught the class, but Larry and I worked on it. And one of the things that Larry's been able to do, and you guys have seen Larry here on the grid and stuff, he's wonderful, is I really wanted to have our camera classes to be like a friend is telling you how to use them, not just a regurgitation of the, And so we're trying to put together classes. In fact, Larry is working on will shortly be working on our Canon 5D Mark IV class. So when the day the Canon 5D Mark IV ships, we'll have a class on it. We have a class on not the XT. That
easy for you to say.
No, we don't have a class on that yet, but
no,
we do. But we're going to have one. Larry's working on it, and he's wonderful.
Soon.
You will love it. Also, last week's class, if I can pick. Last week we release a class every Thursday. Every Thursday's new class Thursday. Last week I released a class called Designing with Type, but it's for photographers. It is to teach photographers how not to ruin their photos by using beautiful, elegant type.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Because nobody ever teaches that. And I see so many photos that are just trashed by like awful typography.
When do people use typography?
They use them a lot in posters. They use them. Well, today we put type on everything. Online.
True.
But when they do posters and prints and layouts and things like that, if they do like the cover of a wedding book, they'll destroy the whole wedding book with just this awful looking stuff on the cover. But it doesn't have to be that way. So I build in the class, I build wedding book covers, I build regular photo book covers, I build slides, I build memes, all kinds of different stuff. And then but you can apply these anywhere. I just had to pick projects so it wasn't boring. So anyway, that was from last week. If you're a Kelby One member, I hope that you will go check them out. Also, the Worldwide Photo Walk, we have over 1,000 photo walks approved all over the world.
Whoa.
I think it will be our biggest one ever. Go to worldwidephotoWalk.com, and here's some of the new cities right there that just came up. One in Mexico, one in Spain, I saw. One in my home country, España. Montreal, Quebec, and looks like very big in Canada. So anyway, go and buy one of the official shirts. Can you show the shirt there? 100% of the proceeds or the profits from the T-shirt go to the Springs of Hope Orphanage in Kenya. And if you just want to help the Springs of Hope Orphanage, which is the whole photo walk benefits this orphanage. This orphanage was literally the people that read my blog helped build this orphanage from the ground up. It was an empty piece of land.
Really?
And Molly Bale and her husband and their son sold their homes, sold their cars, sold everything to move and try to put an orphanage there. Wow. Well, the orphanage is up and running. It feeds 31 kids, feeds them, educates them, loves them, cares for them. But then they also feed all kinds of other kids. They have medical care. They do so much for a little tiny orphanage. But can you imagine what it costs every day to feed 31 kids?
It's not that much.
Apparently it is.
It is. Is it really? I thought it wasn't.
Yeah, you'd think it was 6 cents a day. That was Sally Field 20 years ago. Now they need things like a van. You know what a van costs in Africa?
Yeah.
It costs what a van costs here. So yeah, it's all. Sheila says Karen can hold her own. And Anand says, awesome show, Scott. Waiting for your webcast tomorrow. Hey, Peter from London is going to meet Peter Treadway because they're going to my worldwide photo walk. He signed up for the hybrid photo walk.
Wow. Why is it a hybrid?
Oh, so so Peter Treadway and Dave Williams run hybrid photography.
Oh, okay.
And so that they have a thing.
Okay.
And so they're co-hosting a photo walk.
Oh, nice.
We just call them the hybrid boys.
I love that photo walks I'm hearing the word more. Because remember when there used to be so many of them all the time?
Yeah.
And then there was a big kind of radio silence, and now I'm starting to hear it more.
There you go.
You're a large part of that by having the worldwide photo walk. Everybody
There we
gets
go.
so
It's
excited.
worldwide. It's all over the world. It's a world thing.
There's 1,000 of them.
Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Karen, where can people go learn more about you? Because I think after this show, they're going to want to learn a lot about you.
I'm at www.karenhutton.com. There I am. There's my little homepage. And everything.
Look at that.
Everything you need to know.
Is that Lake Tahoe?
That is Lake Tahoe.
Is that, don't tell me, that is that place.
Yes, it is.
I can't think of give me the first letter.
E.
It's not Echo Canyon.
No.
It's not. It is
What's that?
Emerald Bay.
There you
Boom,
go.
Boom. Emerald Bay. Sorry, we were dancing.
Yes.
And that says, I believe the children are our future.
Exactly.
Teach them well.
Welcome to my world. Okay.
Let them lead the way.
Okay, thank you. I think we got that. Well, so my photography, my voiceover, my speaking, my whole world is there.
Hey, can I give you a trivia question about? Can I give a piece of trivia?
Okay.
Karen is the voiceover on Trey Ratcliffe's famous "Stuck in Customs" app.
Stuck on Earth.
Stuck on Earth. I'm sorry.
I do that
Stuck
too
on
sometimes.
Earth.
Yeah. So Stuck on Earth. Yeah.
Stuck on Earth. That's your voice.
That is my voice.
Everybody fell in love with that voice. They were like, God, her voice is awesome. I could listen to her. I could listen to her to read the contents of like a bag of rice.
Exactly. I could probably have done that at some point. I'm also the voice of the light rail trains in Denver, Calgary, Norfolk, and Charlotte, I think.
I thought that was that. I was on a light rail train one day thinking, hey, is that Karen Hutton?
Well, it depends on where. There's
You've
only
done
like
voiceovers
4
for
of them.
us.
Yes, I've done
You're
voiceovers
like a voiceover like monster.
I've done voiceovers all over the world.
Yes, you have.
Yes, I have.
You have a wonderful voice.
Why, thank you.
Well, we've had enough of this, haven't we? Go to Karen. Now, where can they follow you on Instagram?
They can follow. I'm Karen Hutton on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Google+, Pinterest, Twitter, you name it. I'm just my name, Karen Hutton, everywhere.
There you go. I want to thank our studio audience today. Kathy.
Woohoo!
We don't normally have to have our studio audience provide gear, but Kathy was nice enough to provide it today.
She's very versatile.
She is versatile. Hey, Kathy, you assisted me on my last shoot.
What's that?
You assisted me on my last shoot.
I did.
Yes, you did. We were
On the new Canon.
on the same day I totaled my car.
Yes.
Yes, I totaled my car on the way to the shoot. Totaled it. Yeah. Kalibra and I were in the car. We walked away pretty well unscathed, but my car did not survive. Toast. My car
So
was
bad.
toast. It was so sad.
I'm so glad you guys aren't injured.
Yeah,
more.
we were in a super safe car. It was actually made of marshmallows, the entire car.
It just kind of goes.
It just went. No, a drunk driver, or an impaired driver, I believe, crashed into us in the middle of the day. We were sitting still, by the way. We were literally sitting still. And we're talking, and Kalibra's showing me a picture on her phone, and bam, airbags go off. I mean, it was like we were.
You don't even know what has happened.
We had no warning it was coming or anything because we're all sitting in traffic except for impaired driver who was driving on a suspended license, his girlfriend's grandmother's car.
Oh my God.
It's the triple threat. No insurance.
I'm very glad you're okay.
Yeah, we're okay, but we were lucky to walk away from it. That was a real blessing. That was a God thing because if you saw
Yeah.
the car, you'd be like.
Yeah.
And you know who picked us up? Jen.
Yep.
Jen was right behind us. And all I said to Jen when I saw her was, why didn't you cut in front of that guy and take the hit like a Secret Service agent, like a Secret Service agent would? Boom.
Boom.
And she said, I let you down. And I said, yes, you did. No. It was weird to have like a massive wreck and go do a shoot. But we had so much invested in it, we couldn't back out. Like we had hair and makeup, we had models, we had rented a facility. We just couldn't go. My car's a total loss. Let's really make this day bad, and have it
Yeah.
all go down the tubes.
Everyone thought you should have bailed, but you guys are troopers, man.
That's Calibra. Calibra's like, we're doing this. She was like, we're doing it. I'm like, and she got banged up more than I did. She got like a mild concussion kind of thing, but she's fine. She's good, but Calibra, she's tough. Like things that would take down other people. She's like, I'm fine. Her mother's the same way. Yeah, she's. Larry, the real Larry Becker says, way better host than last week. Larry was the host last week. Larry's very, very modest.
Stop
Fran
it.
Hughes says, have a wonderful rest of your birthday, Karen. Thanks
Thank
to
you.
all. Thanks to all of our sponsors.
Thank
Thanks
you.
to the crew here, Meredith in the booth, Jen on the comments.
Thanks, everyone. This has been a fantastic birthday and a fantastic day. And so my heart is full and I'm very grateful.
My bladder's full and it's time to take a break.
Yeah, just thanks, Scott. Thanks for just
So I killed that, didn't I?
bringing that moment just down. This animal training moment is over.
Juan, slowly take us out.
Slowly.
It's the one with the slowest jib you've ever done.
That's not very slow.
I know.
I'm
Juan.
so critical.
Well,
It's like I'm some kind
man,
of expert
You are.
on anything.
I meant to tell you that.
Really?
No.
No, I didn't think so.